Walk tall, my friends. Godspeed. And take care. Majesty.
Thank you, you three. It's the demons, the Iron Giants.
The time has come.
And there goes my boys.
I'm home. I walk tall. And though it took me a while, I'm ready now. I love you all. Luna. Guys. Dad. The time we had together, I cherish. Kings of Lucis. Come to me!
Wow. Wow. One for each of the weapons. Oh wow, he's taking them all in. He's taking all of them in.
Trust in me.
Wow. That looks ridiculously painful. Trippy. Arden. And Luna. Whoa. Whoa. Wow. Nicely done, Noctis. And there's the ring. And it's been shattered.
It's finally over.
Okay. Oh, cool.
The four of us around a campfire. How long's it been?
An eternity.
So yeah.
Out with it.
I just... Damn it. What the hell is this so hard?
What are you trying to say, Noct?
So I've made my peace. Still, knowing this is it, and seeing you here now, it's more than I can take.
Oh, Noct. Oh. This is a good scene.
Yeah. You're damn right it is.
Huh. You spit it out. It's good to hear.
He's implying they already knew. He didn't have to say it, but they knew. It was still nice to hear.
Well, what can I say? You guys are the best.
Oh. Oh. Wow. I'm just gonna let the credits go by, guys. I'm just gonna let it go by. Yeah, this music is so cool. This is probably my favorite song in the entire game. The soundtrack in this game, I have to say, is quite awesome. Oh, jeez. Definitely an epic song. Definitely love that song. There's still more. There's this. It's still got. We've still got a bit more. Oh, the light. The light's coming out. The sun's coming up. After 10 years of darkness, this has got to be... You'd think that people have grown to, like... I don't know how these plants survive the darkness. You think people would be blinded by this light right now, but... It's beautiful, though. There's the power plant. Hammerhead. And that's where the camp, their last camp before they saved Lucius, I guess. Our heroes. There's Citadel.
Dearest Luna, you did well to deliver the ring to Noctis. Wayward, though my son may indeed be,
This is beautiful.
he has made me proud.
Noctis Lucius Kylum.
May you too know happiness.
Oh. Noctis? Oh, it's our photo! Oh, that is a great touch. That's a... Noct, you're alive. Oh, look, they're alive! Oh, look at that! I don't understand how, but I'm not complaining. I don't understand. Somebody, I'm sure, in the comments can explain, is this actually real or is this a dream? Is this actually happening? And if so, how? How are they, like, resurrected? I'm not complaining. This is beautiful, though. I'm loving this. Noct looks so handsome. Luna always looked ridiculously gorgeous. And where are my boys? Where are my boys? Alright, well, we had a happy ending after all. It seemed like we had a happy ending after all. So they did get married. Oh, that's nice. That's sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Noctis. Is that actually the finish? Or is there more? Again, if there's more, I'm like, this is just as long as the ending to the Return of the King. Congratulations on completing the game. View your certificate of completion from the archives. Then share this record of your success with all your friends. Oh, certificate of completion, level 60. That's so sweet. It still kind of bothers me that poor Talcott still has his eyes shut, but that's okay. That's a really cool touch. Level 60, what a nice round number. 54 some hours. Okay. Cool. All right, so let me just take the time right now to share my thoughts on this game. There were definitely some really cool moments here. Like, I'll start with the photo because that's what we got. The whole idea of picking out a photo that really speaks to you and having it be the focal point for the ending was very clever. That was very, very clever. It was very emotional because I mean, it's just one photo, but I mean that really shows a little bit of allows the player to add their own self-expression to the ending, their own touch to the ending. Again, I think that having a photo like the one that I picked is cheating a little bit because, again, why wouldn't you pick the photo that has all of these characters in it, all of these major side characters, plus, of course, the main four characters? It seems like virtually everyone would, if they kept this photo, would use it. But anyway, the action sequences was great. The Leviathan sequence was definitely my favorite, and I mean the entire thing of Altissia was probably the most memorable because, you know, this is a new city that was completely different from the location of the open world of the rest of the game. You know, there was all the hullabaloo of, you know, the wedding, and then the really epic fight scene with the Leviathan, and of course the major feels that happened with what happened with Luna, of course. So that was well done. Of course, like I said, the soundtrack was awesome, and those were probably the highest points for me in this game. So I guess my honest opinion of the game, though, is that I felt that this Final Fantasy entry was okay overall. I come from this feeling, it definitely was not nearly for me as fun as some of my other beloved Final Fantasy games, like Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy VII, or Final Fantasy VI. That's pretty much what I use as like what I use as the standard when it comes to comparing Final Fantasies, and this one was okay. My major problems with it was, well, of course, I think that from a I guess a functional standpoint, it was really clunky how limited your ability to pick things for combat were in the case that you could only have four weapon / magic items or magic spells equipped at a time, in a game where, you know, there are a part of the battle strategy is trying to analyze the monster's weaknesses and having to, you know, swap around, you know, your weapons or magic in order to take advantage of the weaknesses. You know, you have to, since you only have 4 at a time, there have been countless times when I have had to, you know, go into the menu screen, select the powers, and it just got really aggravating really fast. I felt that was a really poor design. Now, granted, I understand that this is a console game, and thus, because you have a console game, you don't have nearly as many keys as, say, a PC. Because in PCs, you can hotkey things in order to allow you to have more powers available without having to go to the menu screen. And quite frankly, this is very similar to the way things work in Kingdom Hearts, because Kingdom Hearts also has a very similar thing with their spells. But it's even worse than in Kingdom Hearts, because at least in Kingdom Hearts, those slots were, the 4 slots are just for spells, because the only thing that you equip in and out is just, you know, Sora's Keyblade. Here, you're sharing your spells and your weapons, and I feel like they could have done a better job of being able to handle swapping powers or weapons, or come up with a clever way to be able to accommodate, you know, being able to use more than 4, you know, default keys to access powers. You know, maybe doing a shift thing, or like where you hold down R2 and hit one of the, you know, directional buttons, or R1 and hit one of the directional buttons, you know, or some button that you could hold down in order to have maybe twice as many weapons or spells equipped. So that was one of the biggest pet peeves of mine in this game, that just made it really unbearably unfun at times to play, is just the clunkiness of that. So that's one major negative that I have in terms of the gameplay. Other than that, I mean, the combat was very fluid. Like, it was very button mashy at times. I probably could have done things a little more strategically by like warping around the arena to actually heal myself. I know that's a thing, to like heal yourself and regenerate your magic. I didn't take full advantage of that, I admit, but it was still really fun. Just hitting things, and the armigers and the other special abilities were super cool, and the techniques that you do with your companions were really cool, and you know, that kind of thing. Another mechanics that was really annoying is the Maker Forsaken long loading times. I don't mind loading times if they didn't happen nearly as often as they did in this game. Every single time I tried to quote unquote quick travel somewhere, it wasn't really that quick. It just got really tiresome and really tedious going around the map, because your options were either A, use the quick travel, which, you know, not only did it take away 10 gold, but it still took you about a minute to load, you know, to the next screen, or actually drive around everywhere. And the traveling part is another major thing about the game that I didn't really care much about. See, open worlds in games in general, I tend to be turned off by them unless they are done very well. In this game, I didn't think that they incorporated the open world very well, because the quick travel system here was not nearly as good as in Fallout. Now, granted, I had Fallout on a PC, so the loading times on a PC is probably a lot more comparable to ones in a console. But just the fact that you had to drive around everywhere, the chocobos helped a little bit, but not enough that I just got to the points where I was just tired of sitting waiting for a 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes for us to get from point A to point B. It was really tiresome, and that's sort of like why I understand why a lot of people do like the more sandboxy open world games. They like, you know, exploring new things, but for me that gets really boring and tiresome, and I just want to get to the story. Like, the meat of the story and the character development is what I enjoy from RPGs, not the walking around and exploring things. I think that Dragon Age Inquisition did a better job of it. It wasn't perfect, but I thought it was better. I thought the Fallout series did a slightly better job of that. And I thought that Mass Effect Andromeda did a slightly better job of it too. But in that, it wasn't as bad. But would I have missed it if they had taken away the open worldness of those games? At least for Mass Effect and for Dragon Age, I don't think I would have missed it at all. If I could have taken away the component of the open worldness from those games, I would, just because it's just my least favorite part of those games. But they weren't so bad that I like hated the games at all. They were just, you know, one tedious thing that I just had to grin and bear and suffer through. And this game, I felt that I suffered through many of the open world aspects. I really enjoy more that there were open world things in the earlier Final Fantasies, but it was I didn't have to drive everywhere. We had airships normally that could fly us from one place to place, so it wasn't as tedious traveling from one location to another. I was actually kind of shocked and surprised that there wasn't some upgrade that Sid and Cindy made eventually to the Regalia to just have the Regalia like open up some wings and like fly around chitty chitty bang bang style, because that would have been amazing. You know, a little bit steampunkish too, maybe. But no, that wasn't a thing. We just kept driving around, and I don't know, it just got really aggravating, and I guess it was too much of a time sink. Traveling around was too much of a time sink. So, and let's see, other things about the game that I thought that I like what they were trying to do with the brotherly, or with what Noct was doing with having his three friends and having them, you know, the bonds that he was sharing with them. There were some great moments with his buddies, with, you know, with Gladiolus and Ignis and Prompto. There were some really awesome moments. Of course, I'm going to mention, like, the touching moment between him and Prompto was fantastic. He sort of had a moment with Gladiolus and Ignis, but the Prompto one, like the fact that he was so unsure of himself, I don't know, that just blew it out of the water. And I don't think it's because I'm partial to Prompto. I don't think it's just because Prompto happens to be my favorite character. I think that scene with him and Noct was just so well written and so well done, and the voice actors did such a great job of portraying that emotion, that you just couldn't help but root for Prompto, and just really, really, depending on what you chose, just really like let him confide in you. And then the last bit at the end when Noctis was at the campfire with his friends, and when he broke down, I mean, that really got to me. That was very well done. But other than that, I thought that the game could have done a better job of getting you to get more attached to the characters. I think that they could have added a little bit more scenes with them and a little more interactions. We did have we did have the scenes with them where they would like wake Noct up early in the morning and say, hey, like let's go and cook together, or hey, let's go fishing, or whatever. Like those were some nice little moments, but I don't think that they were enough. I feel like I definitely, for a game that I think was trying to focus a lot on the bonds that you develop between your character and the other three characters, I easily grew more attached to the characters from Final Fantasy X, from Final Fantasy VII, from Final Fantasy VI, and every single BioWare game easily became more attached to those characters than I did with Gladiolus and Ignis. Prompto I got decently like attached to, obviously, but not as much as I grew attached to characters like Thane, or characters like Alistair, and even Morrigan, and, you know, Liara, and going to the Final Fantasies. I mean, I was a lot more. There were some more moments that I got attached to people like Barrett, or to Lulu, between Lulu and Yuna, or even with Waka, and even with virtually every single Final Fantasy VI character. It just didn't. I guess I was half invested in the friendship that was going on with these characters, and I think part of it is because it did help that I saw the animes. I did watch the animes, and I thought the animes were done very well, so that helps give you some background in it. But even with that, I still didn't get enough attachment to these characters, and I feel like if I didn't watch any of the extra material, if I didn't watch I guess there's like a mini movie that a lot of the cutscenes in this game came from. And there was also, like I said, the animes. If a player that did not watch any of that and they only played this game alone, I don't think that you would have been given enough to really grow enough attachment to these characters, in my opinion. It just didn't, for me at least. So I don't know. I think that the voice acting was great. The voice acting was fine. The writing was okay. I think that was the problem. I think the story in and of itself was confused. Most of Final Fantasy stories are confusing. It was hard for me to follow what was going on. It was, yeah. I mean, I just lost my investment in the story too, because it was just really difficult to follow. I didn't know half of what was going on half the time. I mean, the ending was confusing. It was happy, so I was let that get a pass because it was a happy ending, even though I didn't understand it. And I know that they have DLCs to probably enrich the story, and they're still trying to make DLCs to enrich the story. But I feel like that's not an excuse. You shouldn't rely on the DLCs to, make your story more cohesive, or I don't even find the story all that interesting at the end. There were moments that were great. Like I said, the Luna Freya death scene was of course not a happy one, but it was a very powerful moment. And the little, the moments that you had with the four guys, were there were great moments there. But overall, the story was just kind of meh to me. It wasn't really all that meh. I didn't really particularly care for it all that much. I wasn't really as engaged or intrigued by it than, the stories for example, that I have in the BioWare games, or a lot of the other Final Fantasy RPGs that I talked about. I mean, or even some of the Super Nintendo RPGs. Chrono Trigger had a far more gripping and engaging story for me. Secret of Mana had it's an okay story. I wouldn't say Secret of Mana story holds a candle to this one. But I mean, even in Secret of Mana, I think I felt like I got more attached to the characters in that one a little bit than the ones in here. Yeah, I mean, it was okay. So those are the main things off the top of my head that I can think of why Final Fantasy 15 was just an okay game. At least it was better than... I feel like this is better than Final Fantasy... I don't know. Maybe it is... Yeah, I guess it is better than Final Fantasy 13. Yeah, I can see in many ways it is somewhat of an improvement to Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy, I think it was 12. I think Final Fantasy 12 I couldn't even get through. I got through like a third of the Final Fantasy 12 game, and the story to me was just so boring, in my opinion, and I just didn't care about any of the characters that I just stopped. I just stopped a third of the way, and I just didn't look back. Balthier was the only character that I really was interested in. Balthier and Freya, who essentially are that game's Han Solo and Chewbacca, were the only ones that I really cared for. And even then, they weren't enough for me to want to continue finishing the game. And I ended up watching the rest of the story, just the cutscenes on YouTube, to at least see if the story in and of itself was something that I found interesting. And I didn't find the story interesting at all, in my opinion. Again, I just didn't care for it as much. And I saw the whole thing from beginning to end. And it didn't make me care about the characters anymore either. So at least this did a better job of that. I guess the other problem that this game has that I miss from other Final Fantasies is 4 characters for me in a Final Fantasy game is not enough. 4 characters that are always in your party is not enough, which is another reason why, I didn't like, for example, Final Fantasy X-2 as much. Or was it Final Fantasy 5? Was it Final Fantasy 5 where you had the characters, only 4 characters, and those were the only 4 characters? And I think Final Fantasy 2 is the same way. I mean, Final Fantasy 1 is the same way too, but I mean, the story of that one, there wasn't really like any character development in Final Fantasy 1. But I like having more characters than you can put in your party so that you can actually switch party members around, because there's a lot of replayability. of that in of itself gives a lot of replayability to an RPG when you have to decide for any given mission or any given part of the game which character you're going to pick. And there's a lot of fun in trying to pick and decide who to bring on a specific mission or bring on a quest, especially when certain things happen when you bring certain people to quests that wouldn't happen when you bring others. So that's one thing about the game that makes this game, again, that I don't really like, is that I don't really see as much replayability in it because it's just the same 4 characters every time I replay the game. It just like, and those 4 characters, I wasn't attached enough, with the exception of Prompto, for me to really warrant playing this game again. So yeah, my apologies to everyone who might feel a little bit disappointed or disheartened about some of the things I'm saying about this game. If you love this game, that's great. I as I always say, you're allowed to like games that I don't like as much. Just like I'm allowed to love games that many people hate. I mean, I really love Mass Effect Andromeda. Apparently there's an awful lot of hate for it, but I still love it. So, it goes both ways. And hopefully you understand this is just my opinion. And I hope that, you're not offended by it or feel threatened by my opinion at all. Because I'm just giving what I honestly am thinking right now at the moment that I've beaten this game, like what my actual genuine feelings are. And hopefully that's part of the reason why you watch my Let's Play, is for me to actually give my feelings on the game, good or bad. But I try to also make sure that I mention a lot of the good things. There are a lot of good things that I've already mentioned in this game too. I'm not even going to talk about the 13th chapter, which has been revamped in a patch because so many people had so many complaints about the 13th one, so it wasn't just me. I actually feel a little vindicated of the fact that I wasn't the only one who was frustrated and really annoyed at the 13th chapter, which it seems like, it's interesting that it's the 13th chapter, because 13th is normally attributed to bad luck, and also there's a lot of hate for Final Fantasy 13. So that in and of itself was just, an omen or a bad juju, overall, I guess. So yeah, if you absolutely love this game, awesome. I'm happy that you absolutely love this game. But hopefully you can at least understand some of the points that I'm making. I don't like to say that I don't particularly care for a game as much, or I think a game is just okay, without giving reasons. And hopefully I at least gave reasons, that you think make sense as to why, this game isn't as nice as I was hoping it would be. I mean, because I came in hoping that this would be a game that would end up in one of my favorites, along with my top 3 games, which are Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X. I'm looking forward, though, to the reboot of Final Fantasy VII, though. I don't know when that'll be coming out, but hopefully I'll be able to Let's Play that when it does, because that would be really amazing. So anyway, I guess that's all I got to say. So I appreciate you guys listening to, my opinions, even if they might be unpopular to some of you. And I hope that regardless, you enjoyed my Let's Play somewhat, and got entertainment value out of it. So thank you again for watching. Whether you've only watched a few of the episodes here and there, or if you've watched the entire thing, thank you so much, guys. I know this is a very long Let's Play, and I appreciate your support in watching any percentage of this LP. So I guess I will see what I end up playing next. I'll talk to you guys later. So until next time, love yourselves and love Prompto and each other.